been a hectic day so far. A lot's been going on. Jeez. I know people have probably been waiting for me to come on. My apologies for not being here at noon Eastern time. Yeah, I had to get out and go do some things, and it took longer than I anticipated. I had to go do some things for my cousin. Got the tax bill in for the property up there. Let me see. You got to get that thing taken care of by the end of November. Who wants to help me pay the tax bill? Yeah, property taxes. So, yeah. Okay, so I got to keep that in mind. That has to be done by the end of November. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Cassandra Williamson, and I am coming to you live from Mudlick Hollow. There's been a lot going on, particularly the crap that came out of Texas. Oh, my God. What did y'all think about that anyway? Did you see it? Ken Paxton now here is wanting to infiltrate and spy on trans and Antifa terrorist training cells down in Texas. And I find that just to be laughably stupid. There are some crazy people in the trans community, and there are crazy people in the Antifa bunch as well. And if you're causing violence, I hope y'all don't find you, because you don't want me to find you. You don't want me to know about who you are. That's not going to go well for you. I'll tell you flat out right now. Will not go well for you. Why? Because what you're doing is just feeding right into a narrative that says these bunch of people need to be locked up and taken away and hauled off into the padded cells and go hee hee ha ha kind of stuff. Even though it's a handful of idiotic people doing crazy things, you know. The entire the way this thing has been weaponized and the way it has been, you know, these communities have been dehumanized. Trans people and LGBT people and gays and lesbians, the entire spectrum of over there in the sexual and gender identity spectrums, they've been dehumanized. They won't stop on trans kids. They have not. They've already moved into trans adults. They're going after all of it. They're stripping away the care that might be accessible to trans people by removing research that even does any kind of work in that area and then claiming that there's not sufficient research. Can we just say stupid? I got to turn a fan on over here because it is warm in here. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And you got Ken Paxton down there in Texas issuing a memorandum yesterday. Let me see if I can pull up that memorandum and go from there with it. I know it says I'm going live. Let me see. Where am I? I watch again live. I don't know which one's live. Oh, that's me. I'm live over there. No, we don't want that. Yeah, we'll turn that one off. At least I'm live over on Twitter, folks. You can watch me over there. Yeah, I'm going to share this. Let me see if I can share that and increase the reach for this thing just slightly. What do we got to do? Down there, post, share a link, copy link, share via, post this. Okay. Post it. Here we go. Go check it out, folks. If you're over there on these Twitter spaces, let me copy the link because I'm going to put it right there where people can see it, particularly those who are from Twitter sphere in Texas land. So, yeah, I engage with these people because, you know, it's fun just to point out the ignorance. So, let me see. Making the road look like the rest of the road is cruel and horrific. Weston Easton. Weston Easton. That is such a cool fake name, Weston Easton. It really is. How many people you have with you? Oh, you have 266 people. Oh, cool. All right. That's fantastic, Weston. Yeah, I'm going to put a comment in there. We're going to be talking about Weston Easton. And put this right here. We'll draw in some people from over on Twitter. This is how you do it. You go in and engage over here whenever they're. Nope. I think bigger question is who owns the property. Well, no, true. Whatever you want to selectively. I get that too. Hey, man, your problem. You probably have never have taken psychology classes, but I'm here to say it. Target fixation is where we focus on a thing. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Do you? Anybody? Not sure. I don't think they do either. They got a cool thing associated with them. They have the FA-18 Super Hornet, and they call themselves the FA-18 Super Hornet. They'll transition to a Starliner before too long, or transition out and become a 777 pilot eventually, if they're any good, that is. Oh my God. So got that going over there. Let me go over to the other Twitter page and check it out. And I'll pull up the thing about Ken Paxton. If you didn't see it, you need to take a look at it. It is in there. Trump demands the arrest of Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker over ice protection. Okay, so yeah, you have to give me a minute, Gideon. Got a few minutes to do here. I will not back down. Trump is now calling for the arrest of elected representatives. Trump is an asshole, folks. Don't y'all know that already? Not just an asshole, but he is an authoritarian with a big streak of Nazi fascist stuck in there. I mean, that was his favorite book, is beside his bed all the time. The Mein Kampf, right? Yes, of course. I fully expect that Stephen Miller has read it and claimed it and made it his own, because he definitely is following the playbook. And then saying, no, we're not. Well, that's what they did too. But those who have eyes to see can see clearly. Those who have logs in their eyes can't see clearly and never will. Anyway, so let's go over here too. Jeez. Oh, Dr. Joseph Ford Cato follows me. Okay, that's because I poke at them all the time. And Dr. Joseph, let me see, replying no, but it sure would have been helpful for you to hear everything about that surgery before you had it done. I did, Katrina. Okay. Anyway, so people are crazy. I got to find where my document was at over here. I'm looking for posts. It's on that page, isn't it? Texas AG. All right. Let's go in and get a link to that page. We'll go back and talk to about it for just a second. And then we'll go up here and get out of that and go back to the main frame there and pull it up over where I could share the screen and paste it right there and go. And there we go. Okay, now let me share screen. If you haven't got the blog that I sent out this morning, I don't know if I sent it to everybody on the email list or not. It's been one of those days that just cannot seem to get a spot in there where I can do the things that I'm committed to doing, like this. Oh my gosh. All right, let me share screen again. We'll do it over here. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to increase the size so you can see whoever may be here watching me. Okay, hee, ha, ha. I will play into all of these things every time A.G. Paxton down there says something stupid. I'm going to be sending notes out across Texas, and this is one of them. Texas AG puts a bullseye on trans terrorism in Texas. And he also did it on Antifa, but he put trans before even Antifa. Okay, so, I mean, we're the real problem. There's so many of us who are causing issues these days out of the 1.5 or 1.6 million of us in this country, that we are the ones they've got to focus on because there's 20 or so of us who are dumb. I'm not saying they aren't dumb, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be dealt with. They should be dealt with swiftly. And not only that, by our own community, because they are putting a bullseye on us. They're the ones who are focusing all of this energy and effort to make us all look bad. And they become the poster child on the right, the one that says, all trans people are horrible because 10 people down here in such and such area, they decided to go berserk over the past 20 years. That's what it amounts to. But we're an easy target because we don't have the resources or numbers to put anything back and push back against it in a big way. So what do we have left to do? Well, I don't know. Declaration of war. They're the ones declaring war on us. That is exactly what this policy over here says. Let me go up here and pull this policy up for you. This statement from the press down at the Texas Attorney General's office, Ken Paxton. Okay, this was released, what is today? Yesterday, October the 7th. Released yesterday, October the 7th. And increase the size just slightly so you can have a better view of what it is Attorney General Ken Paxton said. He's launching an undercover operation to infiltrate and uproot leftist terror cells in Texas after increased political violence. Yeah. In response to the political assassination of national hero Charlie Kirk and the disturbing rise of leftist violence across the country, none of those statements are true. Well, except for the fact that there was a political assassination of Charlie Kirk, yes, and not as he was a national hero. No, I think that's a figment of somebody's imagination, but he certainly has become one after the fact. It's exactly what has happened after the fact. But there is no rise in leftist violence across the country. You see it because Fox News puts a focus on it. Fox News and their enablers, they will go out and see if they can stir up trouble in Portland and in Chicago and down in Texas and wherever else they may go. They've got people who are going there, whether it's on their own dime or not, it doesn't matter. They're going out there to see if they can instigate some kind of response to their presence at those sites. They want the attention. They want people to attack them so they can turn around and go, we have got to impose greater civil penalties here and strengthen our military presence in these cities, because look what they did to poor old right there. I mean, he was just out there just walking along down the street, wasn't doing anything, wasn't harming anybody or anything like that, but he was out there just yelling and screaming at people. Or even if he wasn't doing that, I mean, he was antagonizing people deliberately in hopes that they would act violently in response to his presence and their presence. They are in different places around this country, and that's exactly what they are doing. They are trying to enable or give the president an opportunity to foist upon the whole nation the Insurrection Act. It'll go one community at a time, one city at a time, one county or state at a time. He'll ask for the arrests of different mayors and different governors and things like that because they're standing in the way of, his vision of what it should look like within those cities. And there are violent criminals in those cities. I mean, there are. We're not ignorant of that fact, are we? Are we over here on the left? Are we really that stupid to think that there is no violence in those cities and that they have not been able to do something about it after all these years and decades? It's still there, still getting worse, still being played into and supported and underpinned by the government within those communities. Yeah, there's problems in those cities, but it does not require the Insurrection Act to solve. It does not require the militarization of these communities, because these are Americans, whether you like it or not. They're deserving of due process. And each state has a different way of accomplishing those goals towards due process. It might not be the way you think it ought to go. It certainly may not be the way that I think it ought to go. But there are laws to follow. And right now, this has become a lawless government. I'm talking about Trump, Stephen Miller, that bunch. So let me go on down through it. I haven't even made it out of the first paragraph yet. Leftist political terrorism is a clear and present danger. He knows. He's not dumb. He knows that the numbers don't support that statement. So why make a statement like that? Well, he's making a statement like that because he wants people on the right to see that he is trying his best to take care of the people in his state, his city, his communities, because he's doing everything he can in a very public and performative way. DEI Paxton. He's doing this in a performative way, putting this out there in public, because if he were serious about going after these things, after these groups, if they were a serious problem in the state, do you really think he would make a public statement about wanting to infiltrate these terrorist organizations or any terrorist organization? Do you think that he would broadcast himself ahead like that? No, this is a political maneuver. That's all it is. That supports his positions within the state so that he can run for senator. It supports his position within the federal government because that means that he can get the federal tit to take care of him more as he runs for office as a senator, for a senator position. So this is a political maneuver. But how are we to take it? Well, obviously, he is going to be doing things along these lines. He's telling you what he's going to do, and he's going to go do that. Corrupted ideology. Look, the second sentence in the second paragraph. Corrupted ideologies like transgenderism and Antifa are a cancer on our culture and have unleashed their deranged and drugged up foot soldiers on the American people, said Attorney General Paxton. For one thing, I'm not an idiot. My existence is not an ideological existence. I exist, period. Regardless of what ideological positions I may hold, whether I am a Calvinist or, a Socratic philosopher, Epicurean, whether I am conservative or liberal or progressive or Nazi or fascist or communist or socialist, those are all ideologies, but being transgender is not one of them. And this use of this term, by the way, it originated on our side. Transgender ideology, transgenderism, and things like that, those things came from our side. We did that to ourselves over decades because we have short-sighted people who were thinking back then and trying to organize things, and in the process of doing so, they were isolating this particular group of Americans so that in the end, whether or not that's what they'd planned or not, so that they could be the brunt of all of the attacks of everybody else. You know, take the fall for the gay men, take the fall for the lesbians. We're going to just go after all the trans people in the country. We're going to call them an ism or an ideology of some kind. My identity is not my ideology. I have some ideological views that I hold, but they are not tied to the fact that I'm transgender. No, that is the old philosophical position of I think, therefore I am, and I am, therefore, that. Being transgender is not an ideology. There are people who want it to be an ideology because that way they say it like that because they think it's something you can choose to do. They think it's something you can decide to be. That's why they use ism and ideology attached to transgender people. They sincerely believe that, when in fact, we know that is not true. Do you think Alan Turing really wanted to be a gay man so that he could suffer through castration and electroshock therapy after it was discovered in the 50s or late 40s and 50s that he was gay? Do you know who he is? The person who was the father of computer science, the person who broke the Enigma code so that we could win World War II against real fascists. That Alan Turing? Do you think that if he could have chosen to be gay, that he would have chosen to be gay? And if he had the ability to unchoose that, do you think he would have? Thinking that maybe he could just be castrated and put through electroshock therapy. It's either that or prison at the end of his life. Alan Turing, folks. You don't hear much about him in history classes because he was gay. And we don't talk about things like that. That was from the 50s, folks. I bet you don't even know what the Lavender Scare was all about either. How many people have heard of the Lavender Scare? Unless you're in this community, you probably have never heard of it. You're not aware of the fact that the United States government decided that gay and lesbian people were such a security risk in the 50s that they were forcefully removed from their government jobs in the United States. About 20,000 were removed. But you don't hear much about that either, because they don't even want to talk about that word. I remember growing up, and the word queer had such a bad connotation to it. If anybody said queer, it was always like, there's queer people out there. Oh, no, nobody heard me say that, right? The ones with the queer, it's like the N word, only it starts with a Q. All this stuff is not new. It's just a cycle. But this time around, it is worse than probably anything that I've seen in history. I don't know everything about our history, but I do try to study it and keep my eyes open on it. Don't you? I mean, is it important for you to understand these things? So here we go. Corrupted ideologies like transgenderism and Antifa. I can't get past the second sentence in the second paragraph very easily because it's just so stupid. But that's what the base on that side wants to hear. They believe those things. So how do we push back against it? Now, go on down. Let me finish up. Oh, unleash their deranged and drugged up foot soldiers on the American people. That's not just an assault on Antifa people, folks. That's not just an assault on the drug users out there. That's an assault. That's a statement that goes after the people who are transgender, who are taking hormones, who are getting hormonal therapy, correcting their biology to be what they know their gender is, so they match. They're not going to fix the XY chromosomes, at least not yet. We don't have the ability to do that. CRISPR hasn't come quite there just yet. It will, though. That's just one more thing that we'll fix, and if it ever gets to that place, I'd jump on that one in a hurry. Get rid of that Y chromosome that just ties me down big time. But we, myself included, I know my genes. I know that they are presently XY male. I know that because I have a son who has a Y chromosome. I have 3 daughters who have 2 X's, and one of those X's came from me. So I'm good with all of that too. I'm fine with that, and I'm no bother about that at all. But I have taken some surgical corrections and hormonal corrections to adjust the biology of the external biology of my body and the internal, chemical composition, hormonal composition of my body too, to reflect what I have always known was my gender is female. I can't do much about the voice because testosterone early on did the damage to that one. Got it? I can work on changing it and all that kind of stuff, but it's just not worth my time. I'm 66. I have 4 children. I've got 8 grandchildren. We're spread around the country. We're all connected to the military in some capacity or another. Most of us are. We represent every branch of the military in my immediate house, except for Space Force and Coast Guard. I'm looking for some of my grandkids to decide that they want to go into Space Force. I'd love to have that logo. It's like a Star Trek logo. Flag. It's on my property and stuff. I'm getting ready to pay the taxes on here real soon, so I can start flying all the flags. I've just got the U.S. flag up there right now, but I need to get the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, and the Army, and the National Guard from several states up there. It's just going to be a just row of flags on the front of it. Anyway, so this was Kim Paxton's thing right there. Let me go back and stop sharing the screen. All right. So if you're still watching this, thank you so much. I'm sorry that I came in late. I had some stuff I needed to take care of downtown. So I want to go back now and back up to this blog that I sent out, the blog post that I sent out. If you don't have it, if you haven't read it, go over to the website. Let me go and put some captions up here for you. Go over to the website right there. It's www.cassandra-llc.com. Go there, go to the blog section and read the most recent blog. And it is entitled Texas AG Puts a Bullseye on Trans-Terrorism in Texas. And that's exactly what he does. Over on Fox News, how many times over the past month since Charlie Kirk's assassination have we heard down in Texas and everywhere else, from Utah, Texas, and everywhere else around this country? How many times has Will Kane from down there in Texas said stuff like this? How many times has Jesse Waters said stuff like this? How many times has Greg Gutfeld said stuff like this? How many times has Laura Ingraham and Steve Miller said things like this? They are dehumanizing our ICE agents to the point where now it's justifiable. They can feel emboldened to be able to attack them. When I hear that kind of stupid hypocrisy, the first thing that goes to my mind is, you did this by dehumanizing a bunch of transgender people. What do you think they're going to do? Sit back on their laurels and go, kumbaya? Really? There are only 1.2 or 1.5 million trans people in this country. It's easy to dehumanize this bunch and get away with it. But every show for 9 months, every show on Fox News, there wasn't a day that went by that trans people were not dehumanized. And yet, you want to go and say the left is dehumanizing our ICE agents and all these people out here, and they're causing these things to happen. They're causing loss of life. You should look in the damn mirror. This came from you. Yes, we need to stop it on our side too. I believe that wholeheartedly. We cannot be the ones to throw rocks at people. There aren't enough of us to stand in the way to have any effect on the laws that come out of all of this crap. You throw a rock at a police car, you spit in an officer's face, you pull a knife or a gun or a weapon on somebody, you will be the reason that trans people get rounded up like Seaman Apprentice Ronnie Jackson wants us to do. Rounded up, institutionalized, removed from all ability to communicate. And there's people right now over on X who have no clue that Representative Ronnie Jackson from Texas said that and suggested it to the FBI. I had somebody over there just go, they never said anything like that. And I'm thinking, where the hell have you been? You have your head stuck up somebody's ass or something? Because you are damn wrong. Nancy Mace, weather vane Nancy Mace. I mean, she just does this in the wind every time it changes. Over here, she supports trans people, and the wind blows. She goes, no, they're the vilest, most dangerous people over here. I don't know where Ronnie Jackson got his anger and hatred for trans people. I don't know where it came from. He's a smart, educated man. And I don't expect that from smart, educated people. Nancy Mace, on the other hand, I don't know. That's an enigma wrapped up in enigma, wrapped up in a failure of Alan Turing to be able to figure out how that enigma worked. That one. Oh my God. So what are we going to do about all this crap, folks? So if you go over there to the blog site, go to my website, go check it out, go read this blog post. It summarizes it. I created a little thing that I put myself in on this because, look, I want the focus to be on me. I don't want other trans people to be targeted by the ignorance of these people around this country. I can take it. There are some in our community who can't. And you're wondering, why is she putting herself out there like that? Well, because I know I can handle it. I have no reason to doubt that I cannot. I know who I am. I am not an ideology. I do have ideological positions. Yes, I do. I am a progressive liberal. And I've got some fiscal conservative leanings. And I've even been a chairperson for a county Republican party in Texas. I come from all this. And I worked for a number of years, for 6.5 years, for Kenneth and Gloria Copeland down in Fort Worth, Texas. Yes, the televangelist ones, laying on the hands, bringing in all the money, the prosperity gospel, because, that's what God's plan is for each and every one of you, to give all your money to him. No, wrong. Jeez, oh my God. Those were back in the days when I was trying to figure out who the hell I am. Well, I figured it out really quickly after all of that. It turned out that they don't know shit. They don't know squat. But they are committed to their one book. And they're afraid to read any other books. I mean, I bet most of them can't even tell you what Plato's cave allegory is all about. I bet they've never read a book like Flatland that was written by Edward Abbott Abbott. Yeah, he had a middle name that was also his last name. That was written in like 1884 or something. Yeah. And I bet they've never read Leo Tolstoy's books or anything by Orson Scott Card or anything by Plato or Socrates or Epictetus. And I bet you they couldn't even tell you what the word Genusian means. Because the only thing that matters to those people is that one myopic look through a book written by a bunch of people, just a bunch of men who excluded women, kicked out their books for the most part if they didn't fall into line. The same thing occurred over on the Quran. It had to be written so that the men stayed in power and subjugated all the women. And the same thing happened over with the Buddhist views and the other Vedic literatures and any of them, really. So my point with all of that is these people don't know squat. They're going to claim that we have an ideological attachment to who we are when in fact that's not the case. We just want to live and let live, folks. That's what it's all about. So go read the darn blog post over there. So I'm going to share this screen. This is from the blog. Here we go. I made this little video that goes along with it. It's over on that blog. Go check it out. Declaration of Wars. I'm going to play this darn thing. There's no sound with this one. There is one that has sound. Now let me go over and find one more thing. Where would I find this? Oh, I need to go to the desktop. Hold on a second. Right here. Right here. Street art. Play. Let's see if it plays for me. No, I can go back to that screen. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on just 1 minute. You got to see this one too. This is my media player. You should see it coming up over there now. Let me press the play button and get some volume up on this thing. Where's the play? La, da, da, da. It should be playing now. Come on. Why are you not playing? Media player. Oh, wait. There's something here I got to press. Somebody help, help, help. Hide that. There it is. Found it. It's underneath that button. There is sound with that thing. Anyway, I created this thing as a response to Ken Paxton. And I'm putting myself out there in front of it, like I said a minute ago, because there are a lot of people in this community who can't. And it's really much more dangerous for them to do so than me. I can handle what's out there. Speak truth to power. Be proud of everything that you are. And there you go. Click and stop sharing. Stop sharing. Cancel. Unable to share the screen. Yeah, I know. I didn't want you to share that screen. Okay, everybody. So thank you for watching right now. Let me see what the chat has to say over here. I never know who's going to be in chat. Hi, Jamie. Shanola. Glad you were here. Anyone else, if you're watching, I'm glad you're here too. You can always put a comment in here. And I don't mind talking with people. I particularly enjoy talking to people who do not like anything I have to say. Yeah, that bunch.